Visionaries, young leaders, parents, principals, and all those within the reach of my voice, good morning and welcome to the National Student Leaders Installation Ceremony under the theme, The Courage to Evolve. My name is Tamoy Campbell and it is my pleasure to be the moderator for this installation ceremony. However, just before we go into the rest of the proceedings, I will now be cueing the playing of the National Youth Month video for your attention. So please turn your attention to the screen.
The theme for Youth Month 2021 is Evolve. We know that Jamaica's youth are innovative and revolutionary and are best placed to transform Jamaica from what it was pre-COVID to now into a better, new Jamaica. We have a jam-packed series of events this month where we expect young people from across the island to come out and make their voices heard, showing their evolutionary thinking and their evolutionary actions.
Evolve Youths of Jamaica. My name is Yannick Tracy, the co-chair of the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica. Youths of our nation, let's evolve our mindset so we know that we can be the best versions of ourselves. We are the author and the finisher of our own success. So, if it's that new job you need to get, go get it. If it's to start a new business, just do it. If it's to further your own education, youths, let's make it happen. Let's strive to be great. Let's strive to evolve.
Hi Jamaica, my name is Daniel Jordan Bailey, representing the National Secondary Students Council as the Region 1 Assistant Vice President. For 2021's Youth Month, I want to see more inclusivity. Youth from all walks of Jamaica engaging in virtual activities aimed at enhancing their purpose. Moreover, when I think of the word evolve, I think of metamorphosing, emerging from one stage to another while fulfilling your dream. This can be done by looking towards a certain passion or even fulfilling a certain goal. We can evolve.
Hello Jamaica, my name is Siobhan Smith. I am the General Secretary of the Jamaica Prefects Association. The Jamaica Prefects Association, or otherwise called the JPA, is the national governing body that represents prefects, including head students of secondary schools in Jamaica. This year's Youth Month theme is Evolve, which simply means to gradually improve and become better. I implore you all to grow and evolve in your own right and shine in your own light. Happy Youth Month, Jamaica. Stay safe.
Growing up, we would have been told that the only thing in life that is constant is change. And for that reason, I am particularly impressed that the theme for this month is Evolve. If we are to cope with the realities that we're now facing, we must evolve.
My name is Nevada Green. I'm a part of the National Youth Council of Jamaica. The NYCJ is the umbrella organization for all youth clubs across Jamaica, which seeks to promote youth participation in all community levels and advocate for youth participation in all levels of governance. We here at the NYCJ will be doing for Youth Month our annual general meeting, which involves all community-based organizations and all parish executives, where we come together with our problems and find solutions for them. What we want for this Youth Month is for us all to evolve. We are called to evolve this Youth Month regardless of what challenges the COVID-19 pandemic presents us with. So we're going to press through to ensure that all youth voices are heard this month.
Hello Youths of Jamaica, I am Orville Levy, co-chairperson of the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica. Youth Month theme 2021, Evolve. One word with such powerful roots that if we water it, it can blossom our collective futures. As a council, we have been working to mainstream youth issues into youth policies and ensuring every youth has a voice through our youth parliamentarians. We are at a pivotal time in our lives. This is your opportunity. Take the moment. Your evolution begins today.
We're asking young people for Youth Month 2021, you need to participate. Come and show us your evolved thinking, your revolutionary ideas and your innovative action. Let us demonstrate to the rest of the country that Jamaica's youth are evolved and can make Jamaica better than what it was before COVID. Young people of Jamaica, let us evolve.
There you have it. That was your charge, young people, to evolve, to be bold, innovative, and take action. And just like Nike, just do it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is your ceremony. We are recognizing the students from the National Secondary Students Council, the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, and the Jamaica Prefects Association. However, I'd like to take the opportunity to acknowledge and welcome the presence of the Honorable Robert Nestor Morgan, Member of Parliament and the Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Ms. Jamie Ann Chavans, the Senior Director here in Youth and Adolescents Policy Division at the Ministry of Youth, Education, Youth and Information. Mrs. Kamisha Swaby, Guest Speaker and Assistant Lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Mona. Ms. Christina Williams, who is the President-elect of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. Mr. Jamal Hall, the President-elect of the Jamaica Prefects Association, the National Secondary Students Council, and Mr. Ajay Clacken, the President-elect of the Jamaica Prefects Association, and of course the executives of the JPA, NSSC and JUTS, who will be working assiduously during the year to ensure that youth do as they should and just evolve. I'd also like to big up the students, the principals, the staff advisors, the technical team here at the Youth and Adolescents Policy Division, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, and our distinguished sponsors. It's absolutely amazing that these sponsors give to young people and acknowledge how young people really should evolve. The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Ministry of Gender and Culture, Entertainment and Sport, PATH, Heart Trust NSTA, Proven Wealth, JN, DGA, ILE, Benjamin Manufacturers, Nestle Jamaica Limited, all our amazing sponsors. Thank you so much. Now we're going to head off into the proceedings, and I'm going to now ask our student leaders to please put in the Zoom chat where you're from. If it's those from Wolmer's, Monroe, St. Jago, wherever you are, let us know which school you are repping and let us know where you're from in the Zoom chat. Now, as you are doing so, I'll also turn our attention to the Zoom platform, where we'll have a prayer by Ms. Akeisha Payne, the Region 5 Vice President of the Jamaica Prefects Association.
We thank you for life, we thank you for strength, and we thank you for love. We thank you for bringing us here today and giving us the opportunity to once again meet in this fashion, so that this year's youth leaders of Jamaica can be installed to our respective positions. We thank you for all of the cumulative years of excellence, and we pray that this group will be able to diligently carry out our duties throughout our tenure. We pray for guidance, wisdom, and perseverance, and we ask for you to be with us as we advance throughout the year, so that we can make wholehearted, meaningful decisions. We pray that we'll be able to significantly help and impact our communities for the better good. We ask of you to allow today's ceremony to be as successful as possible, and that it will inspire other students to apply for such roles in the future. We thank you once again for always being by our side and helping us through difficult situations. In your name we pray, amen.
Thank you so much for your prayer. And now we'll also turn our attention to the Belly and Members short story, and this will be performed by Miss Danielle Jordan Bailey, the Region 1 elect Assistant Vice President in the National Secondary Students Council.
The belly and the other members of the body. One day during a meeting, some members of the body realized that they were doing all the work, while all the belly does is get all the food. They all agreed that the belly was the laziest and most unproductive member of the body. After their meeting, they decided to hold another meeting to discuss how unfair it seems. At the end of the long meeting that night, all the members voted that they'll go on strike until the belly agrees to have a fair share of the work. The unhappy body parts remained idle for a few days, hoping to starve the belly. After some time, they stopped walking, moving their hands, and finally gave up chewing altogether in an attempt to stop feeding the belly with food and water. As a result of their strike, the entire body eventually collapsed and died without understanding how important the role of the belly was. Moral of the story, a leader should learn how to recognize and appreciate each team member's unique qualities as well as their shortcomings. After all, a good leader needs to make connections in the team so that everyone knows what they can bring to the table and why they are on it. The end.
Thank you so much for an amazing story. And I too learned from that as well, that we as young leaders must appreciate the qualities of the members of our team. And of course, in doing so, we can work assiduously and ardently to achieve our goals and evolve, which is the theme of Youth Month. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will now turn to Miss Jamie and Shavans, who will be bringing greetings. She's a Senior Director in the Youth and Adolescents Policy Division here at the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. The virtual stage is now yours, Miss Shavans.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this morning, and I am very excited about seeing our young persons elevate to their substantive roles in leadership. I would like to welcome this morning Ms. Tamoy Campbell, our host, the Honorable Robert Nestor Morgan, State Minister in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Mrs. Kamisha Swaby, or Assistant Lecturer at the University of the West Indies, and our keynote speaker for today, or outgoing executive members. We would like to thank you all, our newly minted incoming leaders, student leaders this morning, all our students, parents, teachers, the Youth Division. By extension, we thank you all for being here this morning as we celebrate and commemorate our young persons. The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, in particular the Youth and Adolescents Policy Division, is deeply committed to encouraging greater youth participation in the governance and decision-making process. Incorporating the voices of our student population is an important facet as we work towards the implementation of the National Youth Policy. The ministry's ongoing relationship with the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, the National Secondary Students Council, and Jamaica Prefects Association enables us to empower competent and dedicated student leaders as executive officers. In line with the theme this year, the courage to evolve, we recognize your courage for stepping into this role of leadership. Ultimately, the revised National Youth Policy and the annual Youth Month activities, the goal is to instill a lasting culture of student empowerment and evolving strategies for youth civic engagement at the local, regional, and national levels. The ministry values your willingness to serve in this important function as executive officers, and we thank you for your time and commitment. Without your leadership, we would not be as effective in reaching the nation's youth population. And for that, we appreciate your efforts, your dedication, and your hard work. Through your involvement, we as the government get a clearer understanding of what the areas of need are and how we can better address these in a way that is both responsive and impactful in the long term. The ministry remains committed to offering technical and financial assistance to JUTS, NSSC, and JPA. We encourage ongoing communication and reporting to ensure the fulfillment of the National Youth Policy priority areas, as well as early resolution of any issues that may arise during your tenure. Congratulations on your election, appointment, and co-option to your respective positions as national student leaders, and all the best on your journey. We do wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shavans. I was so touched by that greeting, and I think everyone here was touched as well. I'm going to also urge you to please share the link. We're streaming on YouTube and on the Facebook and Instagram pages, and you can follow at MOEY Jamaica. That's MOEY Jamaica on Facebook and YouTube, and share the link with all your families, because we are here to see you as our young people truly evolve. Now for some excitement and festivities and showing off the talent of our young people, I will now ask Mr. Shamar Grant to perform a dub poem for us. So please, ladies and gentlemen, make him welcome to our virtual stage, Mr. Shamar Grant.
Thank you, Tamoy. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to be at this wonderful Evolve event. I'm a dub poet, so I'm not going to come here with any nice speaking and stuff, but I want to say Before I begin, I'm a strong believer in the term evolve. I believe that evolution, in any form that you want to take it, is something that us as young people should take great interest in. I personally made a vow that I will not be in the same position for more than a month, probably not even more than a week. But today, I'm going to share with you a little poem that I wrote just for this event. And I really want you to just listen to the words, all right? And rock with me, of course. Youths, a time for evolve. We have problems for solve. Don't sit down and stress. We have to find a resolve. When we open our mind to the possibility that we can be the change in this calamity. Now the world is a mess. And everybody say, duh. They must say this is going to be the end away. No, we not stand up for that fallacy because the youths are step up and change the narrative. Positive thinking, yo, we have that lack. Negativity, we are going to put that back. Change your mindset and get back on track. And for that, I want to hear every youth clap. Good. Now that we're in agreement, forward over here, so come catch the payments. First thing first, for start the treatment, we have to put God in the middle and Him give with the strength. Next thing, we could go back to the drawing board. Find the root cause and we shall find the cure. Them say children are the future, but we treat them like the past. I believe evolution should start in the class. Listen, I didn't mean to get you upset, but in our education, we need to invest more. Brain drain and make you reckless and make you obsessed. Right now, I'm obsessed cause as a youth, I want opportunity. Free education up to university. Invest in our youth. So that I want to say. That is the only way we can lift poverty. Youths, a time for evolve. We have problems to solve. Don't sit down and stress. We have to find and resolve. When we open our mind to the possibility that we can be the change in this economy. Now we know Jamaica is in a dark place. It's like some of the youths lost in a dark maze. Killing one another for try find them bread until eventually they too end up dead. But when? When will we realize that we have the handle but death has the knife? When will we stop and be wise to the fact that our lives can be more than an eye for an eye? This culture, yo, informer for dead. Him step on my shoes, me gonna cut off him head. Whether a rifle walk or a rifle talk, it all boil down to the same rifle, dead. Finally, I am a Christian youth. I don't know what you believe in, but I believe in God, and we can't make it without Him. We need to stop pretend like that are not the wages for sin. Just look around you. Look how much people COVID alone kill. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not trying to justify, but I believe in the Bible, and the Bible never lies. So before we try to do anything, just take my foolish advice. Because to truly evolve, we have to evolve with spiritual lives. Youths, a time for evolve. We have problems to solve. Don't sit down and stress. We have to find and resolve. When we open our mind to the possibility that we can be the change in this calamity. Youths, a time for evolve. We have problems to solve. Don't sit down and stress. We have to find and resolve. When we open our mind to the possibility that we can be the change in this calamity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shamar. Ladies and gentlemen, young leaders, put some round of applause, some emojis in the YouTube chat, on social media, in Zoom to show our appreciation for Shamar. That was talent, that was creativity, that was innovation, and that is the embodiment of what it means to evolve. Thank you so much, Shamar. Now, I also want you to be mindful that the minister is going to make his greeting shortly, so we're going to come to that soon. But just before we do that, I also want to take the opportunity to go to this part of our segment to welcome our guest speaker, Miss Kamisha Swaby. But that honor will not be mine. No, the introduction of the guest speaker will be done by Miss Brianna Russell. She is a Director of Communications for the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. She'll be joining us via Zoom. Brianna, over to you. Brianna, you with us? All right, so until Brianna gets settled, we saw Shamar and we saw all of this amazing talent, but we're here to celebrate our young people in NSSE, JUTS, and JPA. So let me tell you a little bit about what they are. The Jamaica Prefects Association is the representative body of secondary school prefects across the island, and they're designated to their mandate, rather, is developing effective student leaders. The organization was launched in 2008, and after a 10-year hiatus, was relaunched in October 22nd, 2018 at Womers Boys School. Brianna, you're here with us? All right. All right. I think okay, I'm not sure if Brianna is here with us as yet, but I'll tell you just a little bit about NSSE until she comes back. Now, NSSE means a lot to me because that was the organization I was a part of, so it's a little bit special. And the National Secondary Students Council is charged with advocating for students. All right, so I'll tell you a little bit about NSSE right after because we have Brianna on air with us. Brianna? All right, so Brianna is still having some technical difficulties. Not to worry, we know that's how things go in these COVID times and online dynamic. But I'll also tell you just a little bit about JUTS. JUTS is a democratic, independent, non-profit, non-sectarian, and non-partisan national student leaders organization. Yes. All right, organization, popularly known as student, and it is a confederation of student governing bodies, popularly known as Students Association, councils, guilds of unions, island-wide. The JUTS has been organized at a national level since 1972 as part of the government democratization plan within the education system. I said a lot of big words a while ago, but essentially, JUTS, I like to think of it as a graduation level to NSSE, but this is at the tertiary level of representation. And this is where you find persons like your Guild of Students at UE and UTEC and all of these council of young people at tertiary education advocating and defending the needs of students at that level. There's a little bit of a difference. The JUTS members serve 2 years, while the NSSE and JPA members have a 1-year tenure. So that's just a little bit about the NSSE, the Jamaica Prefects Association, and JUTS. And I'm so happy to be here moderating the ceremony as they're here to evolve. I hope Brianna's technical difficulties have been resolved by now so we can hear from our dynamic speaker, Mrs. Kamisha Swaby. Brianna, I'm coming back to you. All right, I think Brianna is still having some ongoing challenges, but not to worry. I do want us to properly announce and address our speaker just before she gets into her presentation. All right, so while Brianna sorts that out, I want to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors again for investing in our young people. Thank you so much, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Ministry of Gender. Thank you so much, JN, Proven Wealth, Nestle Jamaica. We want to big you up and everything like that because your contributions are what is making this possible and helping our young people to evolve. Now, I believe the minister is here. No, he's not here as yet, so don't worry. All right. I hope Brianna is resolved. Her problems have been resolved by now. Brianna, you with us? All right. So Brianna having some problems, but the show must go on. I want our young people to put in the chat, whether that be on Zoomland or on YouTube, and tell us what does it mean to evolve to you. I also want you to let us know the school that you're representing. I had said Wolmer's, that's my alma mater, but I know that there are some JC persons here. There's some Monroe individuals here. We have a lot of young people here. We have persons from states all over. So put in the chat your school you're representing, but also let me know what it means to evolve to you, because that's what we're talking about today, the courage to evolve. Now I'm going back to check if Brianna is settled, so we can have our speaker on shortly. Brianna, are we having, our challenges have been resolved? I'm just checking in. All right. So not to worry, not to worry. And we do have the minister who will be making an address shortly. All right. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to go to a sponsorship video, because we have to thank the people whose indelible contributions make this possible. So we're going to a sponsorship video at this point.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
A real estate investment trust is a property investment company. Unlike other property investments, it is traded on an exchange, similar to listed securities such as ordinary shares and exchange-traded funds. This makes it an attractive option for ordinary investors to invest in real estate. A small amount is required to participate in this asset class, rather than a large capital outlay that is required for an outright property purchase. Since REITs must pay out 90% of their rental income to investors, to expand, that leaves two main means of funding growth: selling new shares or taking on debt. As an investor of a REIT, you must keep an eye on the amount of debt incurred, as this may affect overall output. I am Dana Ashley, and we are proven.
And those were messages from our sponsors. Thank you so much. We appreciate your contributions. And without you, we know this would not have been possible. Now, we're going to go on to hearing from our guest speaker, Mrs. Kamisha Swaby. But I will now invite Mr. Javon Gordon to introduce her. So Javon, please join us on Zoomland to introduce our dynamic and riveting speaker.
Just confirm that you're hearing and seeing me, Tamoy. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce the very vibrant, very intellectual Kamisha Swaby. With a strong passion for social policy, advocacy, culture, and education, Mrs. Kamisha Kelly has deployed her skills and expertise in both the public and private sectors. She's an assistant lecturer in the Department of Government at the University of the West Indies, Mona, board member of the Early Childhood Commission, director of research at Corpcore Social Impact Consultants Limited. She's a consultant and former co-host at Nationwide Radio. She has over 13 years of experience as a trained youth advocate, having worked with several organizations to implement youth-focused programs. Having distinguished herself in youth development and leadership, she has been highly sought after to represent the country's youth on youth advocacy, participation and empowerment, and sexual and reproductive health. Mr. Swaby is currently a candidate in the MPhil PhD in Public Policy program at the University of the West Indies, Mona, and hopes to inspire others to step into their power and do their part to serve their wider community. With all of those accolades, she's married to Gordon Swaby and has one son, Alexander. Ladies and gentlemen, put in the chat and welcome our guest speaker, Kemisha Swaby.
Thank you so much, Javon. Thank you. Madam Master of Ceremonies, who has done such an excellent job, Tamoy. The Honorable Robert Morgan, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Miss Jamie Ann Chevans, Senior Director in the MOEY's Youth and Adolescents Policy Division. Presidents Christina, Jamal, and Ajay. Other members of the executives of the National Secondary Students Council, the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, and the Jamaica Prefects Association, principals, staff advisors, student leaders, several of whom I have seen online, technical team of the Youth and Adolescents Policy Division, sponsors, distinguished guests, friends all, good day. It is my esteemed pleasure to be sharing with you today at the 2021 National Student Leaders Installation Ceremony. I want to start by applauding the work of the committee that has put this together, and indeed the Youth and Adolescents Policy Division for consistently affirming the young people of Jamaica through varying platforms to serve, including through the student leadership organizations where we're installing the leaders today. Now, when I got the call, the invitation to speak, I immediately reflected on my time as a Students' Council representative. And I particularly loved the focus of today's installation ceremony, indeed the focus of Youth Month, which is about evolving. But the theme that I've been asked to speak on today is the courage to evolve. And after reflecting on my time as a little Students' Council representative from St. Hilda's Diocesan High School, however many years ago, I also thought of a trip just last weekend where I had a horseback riding adventure, and the name of my horse was Courage. And I chuckled to the handle of the horse and I said, I needed this horse today because I went up feeling bold and brave and confident, and as soon as Courage started moving too close to the horse that was in front of him, I said, this is a little bit too much. But I needed Courage that day to stay the journey, and of course I enjoyed myself. And I started to think after that. When we think of evolve, the first thing that came to my mind is the COVID virus, coronavirus 19, because it's consistently evolving, because some people are allowing the conditions to be just too right for it to continue to change. And I asked myself, okay, but are we seeing this sort of resilience in our student leaders, that courage, that willingness, that bravery to adapt to new environments and creating the changes that we want to see? So at the end of the day, several of you offered yourselves for leadership, or you were nominated by friends, colleagues, classmates who saw in you the ability to convince others to move towards a particular outcome. They saw leadership potentials in you. In their opinion, you were persons who they would be willing to throw their support behind because they believed that you could be brave leaders, that you could exemplify valiantly inspiring, responsible, undeterred student leaders who are moving towards addressing some of the vexing issues which really undermine success in the Jamaican and the global context. They recognized that they could perhaps follow behind you to change, to evolve. And when we think of evolving, I heard in that fantastic dub poem, I heard in several of the other reflections that, you know, you already have some good ideas about what evolving is about. The definitional elements of it are about change. I don't know if several of you are young enough, because I'm young enough to remember, now see, I got old and forgot, Power Rangers. And when they changed, when they evolved into the fighters, it was morphing time. They were getting ready to valiantly deal with some issues. And I'm sure several of you are young enough to remember the Transformers movies. The very first one, not just the last few ones that have come up, but the very first one. And whenever they transformed, something was about to happen. They needed to change the form that they were in, but at their core, they were still the same. But they needed to position themselves differently because the context within which they were operating required that change. Many of us, when we are at home, sometimes if people come to our doors and knock suddenly, let's tell them, hold on, because we know we're inappropriate for company, but we're appropriate for home. So we have to evolve. So we fix up ourselves, yes? You invite me to come out, and I was at home with my son this morning, and my hair and my tired and something. I don't come out like that. I've had to evolve and fix myself up to come out and talk to you, right? So there's some change, and it has to be relevant to the context in which you're operating. So when we think of the context of student leadership in 2021, there are a number of mitigating factors. First of which is the pandemic. COVID-19 has come along and it has spurred lots of changes around the world. Globally, young leaders have had to be responding to these changes. They've been meeting online, studying online. Perhaps instead of taking their protests to the streets, they are using social media platforms, creating trending hashtags to ensure that they're getting high visibility for the messages that are addressing the vexing issues that are affecting young people that they want to create changes in. Yes, there are challenges with these online learning opportunities, and especially as student leaders, you will be quite conversant with these because many of the persons you represent have perhaps been speaking to you about the difficulties that they face in an online learning environment, what with bandwidth issues, losing electricity very frequently, all of those things. But there are opportunities. Because some of you may have also seen that you have some colleagues who are learning better in this environment because they are naturally more adept and more interested perhaps in leveraging the technology. So while we want to talk about the problems, ensure that your outlook as student leaders in this time also allows you to look at the opportunities and to speak to those and to leverage those. The pandemic has accelerated change, and we have heard so many people talking about the need to pivot. The reality is that you have many companies that have shifted from their physical meeting places to just meeting online, and that has caused them to save money in one area and then be able to support initiatives in another area. So as student leaders, where we know that there are limited budgetary support opportunities, whether it is from the ministry or other private sector partners, it is important that one of the ways you evolve is by being more efficient stewards of any monies you are given to create change on behalf of the young people in Jamaica. Instead of having to travel and meet in certain spaces, you are now able to perhaps meet more people online. And so you have to think challenge, but what's the opportunity within that? My husband has this phrase that has become quite popular where he says, ignore the noise, focus and execute. In a pandemic, in the context in which you're operating, there is going to be a lot of noise about what can be done better, what is not working, what is so absolutely bad. But for the people who are looking to you for leadership, what is the message of opportunity that you're giving? How has your thinking evolved where you shift to focus a lot more on the opportunities that are existing? No, students have not been losing out on all the scholarships that we thought we could afford them. In fact, there are many other opportunities because as certain institutions have had to transition to online, it means they're perhaps able to see more students and have more students tap in to the educational opportunities there. So the question that the leadership of these three organizations, very, very important organizations, and like Tamoy, the NSSC is near and dear to my heart, having served twice as the president and come up, you know, from way down. It is very, very important for me to say that you as the leaders must ask yourselves, how are we going to pivot? That was the buzzword we heard quite often in 2020. Now, young people have always had their fingers on the pulse of technological change and many other developments. The challenge of leadership during this time is also about keeping your fingers on the pulse of change. What can you use 240 characters on Twitter to do? What messages can you put out? Where are the other people that you can connect with to create change, to amplify voices? At the end of the day, there are certain conditions, just like I mentioned that, with the virus, there are some conditions that are facilitating change. We have to look at some of the conditions that are important for you to evolve as leaders. One of the first things that you must do as student leaders is to embrace constructive feedback. There are many persons who, whether they work within the Youth and Adolescents Policy Division of the Ministry, or they work with several of the non-governmental organizations with which you can partner, or they have trod this path before you. They have some information, they have some experiences, so they can give you some feedback. How are you with listening to constructive feedback and thinking, what parts of it can I take to apply to my work going forward? One of the other conditions that's important for evolving and for change is a commitment to development. If we sit and think that we will just stay in this state always, and if it's not working, it's just not working and there's nothing we can do, we're not at all going to change. I tell people I enjoy speaking about my son Alexander, and I marvel at early childhood development as I watch him, because you think of this tiny, tiny baby that was just once, 4 cells in a mother's womb. And over no time, they grow to become so many times the size. And I had an 8-pound, 10.5 baby boy. So he was quite big. But that was still not his full form. At 15 months old, he is running up and down, climbing on everything. And I looked at his little shorts this morning and I said, but when did your knees start showing from that shorts? What's happening? He's growing. He's evolving. He's changing. He's using language now because he's understand that the screaming and just pointing is not enough. But as he exists in our environment, he's starting to absorb words and then starting to give those back to us. So that commitment to development, which is inherent in every child, especially 0 to 6, where they're in an absorbent mind phase, according to Dr. Maria Montessori, is something that as student leaders, not too far removed from that phase, that you need to embrace. From your environment, what are you absorbing? What are you committing to being the change for? How are you committed to your development? Are you tapping into the learning and development opportunities that are available from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information and from elsewhere? When you use social media, and this includes your YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, what are the conversations that you're participating in? Are they empowering to you? Are you using the spaces to connect with other young leaders from around the world and see what opportunities for training and development exist in those spaces? That is one way you can continue to commit. Another condition for evolving and change is optimism. Seth Godin tells us that optimism is the most important human trait because it allows us to evolve our ideas, to improve our situation, and hope for a better tomorrow. If you have stepped into a student leadership space and you do not believe that change is possible, you do not believe that you can create an impact, then that space is not for you, because it means you have come in to accept the status quo. Leadership begs for us to push towards change, to advocate for improvement, to speak about creating better conditions for youth. In the context of Jamaican youth broadly, Jamaican young people, whether they're in school or out of school, but for you it's for those who are in school at the secondary and tertiary levels, they face a myriad of socioeconomic challenges. We know the reality of high unemployment rates, but opportunity. Online jobs have created opportunities for many, many young people. Are you speaking to your young leaders about the fourth industrial revolution and what are the skills that will be required for them to find and create jobs in this new environment. We have alarming levels of crime and violence. What are you doing to be a part of the solution? What are you discussing? What are the proposals you have to take to your school leaders, to the leaders in this ministry about what you can do to stem the tide of violence and crime that exists in this society? The reality too, and many of you would know this, the majority of the victims of crime in Jamaica are youth, but the majority of the perpetrators are also youth. It is also the fact though that the vast majority of Jamaican young people are law-abiding citizens who, like you, are trying to find avenues to contribute to national development, to contribute positively. You, the young people, are resilient. Be as resilient as this COVID-19 virus is appearing to be. You must be resilient. You know, you have to become, it's not that you never fail, but your attitude to any mistakes must be, what was the lesson I needed to learn here? I'm charging all of you that when times get tough, and we're seeing some tough times now in COVID-19, that you must be committed to using your creative talents, the innovation that is a part of your minds and a part of the Jamaican psyche, the indomitable spirit of your Jamaicanness to continue to excel. You must be on a mission to build Jamaica and to leave it better for the next generation. When you demit your offices of leadership after 2021 and into 2022, what will be your impact? What will the next administration have taken from you? We need a few hundred people, Jamaican young people, who will practice courage, because courage is a practice. It's not something you have or don't have. It's something you decide every day that you are going to be brave and you are going to try to create change. We need young people who are going to look at the hard questions and ask themselves, what solutions can I find to these hard questions? That is how we create change. If you are interested in creating a better Jamaica for yourself, for your fellow students, for the children that some of you may have later on, start with creating a connection between yourself and the person in your life that you want to see the most change in. For some of you, it might be a classmate who, when you were in face-to-face classes, they were perhaps giving the most trouble. But have you asked them what are their ideas? What are their ideas about making the environment more engaging? You know, because sometimes they're not just mischievous. There's a need that they're expressing, but perhaps not expressing it in the right way. So how are you including them? Whenever we think of evolving for change, it's not about just externally focusing. It is about starting with me. So, as you think of Youth Month, as you think of the courage to evolve, ask yourself, how do you see Jamaica? Is Jamaica for you a place that's just filled with problems? Or is it a place that you can be a part of the solution? When you think of your own plan for your future, what does your 5-year template look like? And how are you contributing to national development through that? Additionally, when you look inward, ask yourself, what do I stand for? What are my core values? Leadership first begins with us, and it is after that that we can start to get other persons on board. When we are courageous, we must also understand that we don't need to speak up about every single thing. But as courageous leaders who are evolving, you must understand that you're going to pick your battles. You're going to choose the ones where you can make the most impact. You can choose the ones that resonate with your goals and values and the goals and values of the organization that you represent, the stakeholders that you represent, the students that you represent. As you gauge whether or not an issue is truly important, you must understand your own emotional triggers so that you're not just speaking from only my perspective, because this is something that you hold deeply. But how does it reflect on your organization? You assess whether engaging in this battle, whatever the outcome might be, is likely to aid or hinder winning a war ultimately. Will securing resources to address the problems that you identify make it less likely that a higher priority issue will not get funded? These are the strategic ways I want you as young people to think about that. Now, Jim Dittert, writing in the Harvard Business Review, says that to evolve is to develop yourself gradually from within yourself. And that's why you'd have seen that I took you from a macro picture about what's happening globally, the state of it in Jamaica, and now to looking at you. Because the third says the evolution of your mindsets, your habits, your daily routine, your associations, your actions, and then your life. And Jeff Bezos tells us that what's dangerous is not to evolve. Change is necessary for us to lead in the world. If you look around you, everything changes. Everything on this earth is in a continuous state of evolving, refining, improving, and adapting. We must be in a state of enhancing and changing. You, ladies and gentlemen, you student leaders, were not put on this earth to remain stagnant. So what are you going to do differently? Let's not hear the same proposals all over again. But if we have the same proposal for outcome, maybe we can take some different actions to get to that outcome. And the final charge I want to share with you as we're looking inward is that as student leaders who are going to be a part of Jamaica's future, you are the present because you're building now, but the reins of leadership need to be handed over to you. Remember this: the words you use about yourself, about the other people around you, are powerful. The words we utter or words spoken over us can impact the course of our lives. Our words come from what we think, so we have to be very mindful. And one of the ways I challenge you to change and evolve is to be very mindful about what you are absorbing, reading, listening to, and all of that. So let's spend a little time thinking about words and thoughts. Oftentimes, we use our words to motivate ourselves and others. It is important, especially as student leaders, that our minds are in the right place and thinking positively. Positive thoughts often lead to positive actions. Consequently, when many people are feeling low, it is easy to speak a positive word of encouragement to them and expect them to feel better, or at least to feel motivated. What if, however, it's not just about thinking positive thoughts? Truthfully, I know so many people, including youth leaders, whose outwardly projected energies can be so positively inspiring, yet inside they are fighting serious battles. These people are not feigning positivity. In fact, it's just what they want to give to others. They want to give positivity. I know persons whose every action is about uplifting others, but sometimes they cannot uplift themselves. And the truth is, you may come across many of those young persons because the other part of the pandemic is a mental health crisis that's affecting many people, including young people. Beyond telling young people to think positively, some of them need help to unpack and refocus on themselves. I've seen people crippled by past traumatic experiences that have become stuck in their minds. I have seen the debilitating anxiety caused by changing circumstances, such as a pandemic, such as shifting to learning online and all of that. The fear of failure and so much more. Yet some people believe that just be positive is the best they can offer. Still yet, Some people can only use their words to belittle, tear down, or beat upon already broken spirits. Look at your friends. Do you know how they're really doing? Do you know what words have kept them stuck and caused them pain? When is the last time you helped friends unpack? Have you simply been invalidating them with positive words like, it will pass? Wait, when is the last time you yourself unburdened? A part of doing things differently and evolving is asking for help, being honest about how you feel. Words are not just wind, they have impact. Beyond uplifting words and positive thoughts, sometimes we should all stop and really speak and really listen and really be there in the most honest way. It takes more than positive words sometimes, but positive words, thoughts, and deeds are always good. Be gentle with yourselves in leadership and understand that sometimes you'll make mistakes, but you can rebound. So you need to build that muscle of resilience to continue to hurdle over the obstacles. Use your words with care. Seek help if you need to, and be a friend indeed. I have charged you with that 5-year plan that speaks to what your impact will be. As you change and evolve, take risks. Strive always for excellence, but be open to building resilience if you have fallen. Lean into any weaknesses that you have, because you must be committed to development, so you work on those weaknesses and remove any limiting beliefs that have been placed on you. If you are a student leader who had gotten in trouble at some point in time and somebody wants to use your past against you, remember this: your past is not your potential. In any hour, according to Marilyn Ferguson, you can choose to liberate the future. Affirm yourselves daily. Commit to being the best Jamaican. That I can must always be a part of your spirit, because Jamaicans, indomitable as COVID-19 is trying to be. So I'm charging you, and some of you might have missed it earlier, not to be a virus in the negative way. The viruses that you face are the vexing issues that really undermine success. But who are you? Resilient, valiantly inspiring, responsible, undeterred student leaders. Continue to evolve, change, and be the best that Jamaica has seen. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, young people, what more can I say after that presentation? Please give some virtual round of applauses in the chat on social media for our dynamic, our riveting, and the indomitable and amazing Mrs. Kamisha Swaby. Young people, if there's anything that you would have learned from this, I do hope that you would have understood that Mrs. Swaby is telling us and charging us to evolve. She has told us to be resilient, to bounce back, and to be committed to feedback, constructive feedback. Ladies and gentlemen, young people, student leaders, please just give some round of applause. I am in awe, and I know we're all in awe. But as we're continuing to be in awe, let's go to our sponsors, because we want to hear from them. And without their contributions, this would not have been possible. So we're going to have a sponsorship video.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
A real estate investment trust is a property investment company. Unlike other property investments, it is traded on an exchange, similar to listed securities such as ordinary shares and exchange-traded funds. This makes it an attractive option for ordinary investors to invest in real estate. A small amount is required to participate in this asset class. rather than a large capital outlay that is required for an outright property purchase. Since REITs must pay out 90% of their rental income to investors, to expand, that leaves two main means of funding growth: selling new shares or taking on debt. As an investor of a REIT, you must keep an eye on the amount of debt incurred, as this may affect overall output. I am Dana Ashley, and we are proven.
Thank you so much to our amazing sponsors. Now, young people and our visionaries, it is that time that you've been waiting for. We will now be hearing from the Honorable Robert Nesta Morgan, Member of Parliament and the Minister of State here in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information.
Thank you very much, Timoy. Thank you very much. Mr. Mark Campbell, host. Ms. Jamie Siobhan, Senior Director, Youth and Adolescent Policy Vision here at the Ministry. Mr. Davy Horton, Policy Analyst. Wonderful presentation by our keynote speaker, Ms. Kamisha Swaby, who is an alumna of the NSSC. Mr. Jamal Hall, President of the National Secondary Students Council, as well as Ms. Christina Williams, President of Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, and as well as Mr. Ajay Clacken, Ms. Brianna Russell, Javon Gordon, Akishma Payne, Ms. Danielle Jordan Bailey, and all national regional executives. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Once again, we welcome the National Student Leaders Installation Ceremony. Before I go any further, though, I would like to acknowledge Ms. Jamie Siobhan, Senior Director of the Adolescent and Policy Division here at the Ministry of Youth and Education and Information, along with her team for their work in ensuring that our youth are included in governance processes through the Student Governance Program and the support they provide to Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, National Secondary Students Council, and the Jamaica Prefects Association. Today, approximately 90 student leaders in total will be installed to the national executive leadership of our student governance bodies to serve for a two-year term in the case of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, and a one-year term in case of both the National Secondary Students Council and the Jamaica Prefects Association. I want to highlight, however, that we're doing this under the theme, The Courage to Evolve, in accordance with and as a reflection of the theme for Youth Month, which is Evolve. The call to evolve comes against the backdrop of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Our youth remain the segment of our society amidst its realities that is most impacted, but notwithstanding the tremendous adversity, they, including those of you here today, have continued to excel in endeavors and have managed to assist their various communities as well. It is for this reason that it is extremely important for you all to exercise your agency to bridge the gap between what it was like pre-COVID and what it is like today, to ensure that you and your peers will benefit from an improved Jamaica. No one knows firsthand or better than you what is required to meet the needs owing to this impact and what it will take to ensure that you all thrive during this period. I want to take time out to remind you that the responsibilities encompassing each of your organizations is not one to be taken lightly, and in the bigger picture, serve to aid in a well-functioning society. In the instance of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, JUTS, there are approximately 75,000 students across 28 institutions who rely on you to represent their interests and defend their rights. More than that, you are charged with promoting student participation in decision-making processes within the education system, and by doing so, facilitate their introduction to democratic ideals and practices with the effective governance of the wider society relies on. Similarly, the National Secondary Students Council is charged with ensuring that the basic student rights are observed and protected, as well as attending to their desires, needs, and concerns in the secondary student population. You play an integral role in ensuring that students' voices are heard at the highest level for whatever affects them and in fostering the culture of advocacy within the broader society. The Jamaica Prefects Association serves to function as an important tool in bridging the gap between student administrators and students to foster discipline within our schools and to enforce the importance of becoming responsible members of the society. Together, you all function to ultimately improve the society. Each of your organizations are embedded within the framework for governance in Jamaica, not as a matter of tokenism, but with the intention of including our youth at all levels of the processes that govern their education and overall well-being, now and in years to come. As such, I would like to commend those of you having been elected or appointed, which will be installed today as part of the National Executive for Student Leadership. I wish each of you the best and ask that you strive to fulfill the mandate of your organization. I would like to end by suggesting that now is the best time for young people in Jamaica to rise to the occasion and evolve their thinking to ensure that they can be at the table when the decisions are being made for the development of our society. It goes without saying that young people are the most important components of a development of a society, as indeed they are the inheritors of whatever it is that we're building today, whether it is a negative or a positive. It is important then that young people are constantly a part of the conversation to ensure that whatever they inherit, they were stakeholders in the building of it. So I ask all the leaders of these organizations not to see your appointment as a mere tick on your resume, but to recognize it as an important achievement for you personally, but also an important achievement for youth, as we hope and we know that your leadership can take youth to another level in their development towards building a prosperous and better Jamaica. So once again, I want to congratulate you all for the work that you have done over the years and for the work that you'll be doing during your tenure. And I ask that you recognize that we're here to help. The Ministry, the Youth and Adolescent Policy Division, and myself have an open door policy where whatever challenges you face, we're willing to assist and see how we can come to amicable solutions. Once again, thank you and congratulations to you all, and I wish for you a prosperous term.
Thank you so much, Minister. Young people, there you have it. You are fundamental and you are part of the conversation. And there's a policy here for you to come and ensure that your voices can be heard and raise your issues. But we're going to go and hear from our sponsors yet again. We have to show the people who made this possible that we appreciate them and we are grateful to them. So we're going to know a sponsorship video.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
A real estate investment trust is a property investment company. Unlike other property investments, it is traded on an exchange, similar to listed securities such as ordinary shares and exchange-traded funds. This makes it an attractive option for ordinary investors to invest in real estate. A small amount is required to participate in this asset class, rather than a large capital outlay that is required for an outright property purchase. Since REITs must pay out 90% of their rental income to investors, to expand, that leaves two main means of funding growth: selling new shares or taking on debt. As an investor of a REIT, you must keep an eye on the amount of debt incurred, as this may affect overall output. I am Dana Ashley, and we are proven.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
A real estate investment trust is a property investment company. Unlike other property investments, it is traded on an exchange, similar to listed securities such as ordinary shares and exchange-traded funds. This makes it an attractive option for ordinary investors to invest in real estate. A small amount is required to participate in this asset class, rather than a large capital outlay that is required for an outright property purchase. Since REITs must pay out 90% of their rental income to investors, to expand, that leaves two main means of funding growth: selling new shares or taking on debt. As an investor of a REIT, you must keep an eye on the amount of debt incurred, as this may affect overall output. I am Dana Ashley, and we are proven.
And there was a few messages from our sponsors. We also want to take time to acknowledge the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Ministry of Gender, Culture, Entertainment and Sport, PATH, HEART, JN, DGA, ILE, Proven, Benjamin and Nestle. Thank you for your invaluable contributions. Now, young people, this is the time that you have been waiting for, and I'm going to come out of the way just a little bit and invite our policy analyst, active policy analyst here in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Mr. Davy Horton, who will be conducting the induction of the national and regional executives.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies Tamoy. Good afternoon, Minister Morgan, our Senior Director, Jamian Chavans, for the Youth and Adolescent Policy Division, our Senior Programs Development Specialist, Ms. Yannick Williams, our Programs Development Specialist, Ms. Ruth Lawrence, our keynote speaker, of course, Ms. Keynote Swebe, and our student leaders, the presidents, Ms. Christina Williams, Mr. Jamal and Ajay, and the broader executive, distinguished guests, and those out there in social media land, if there's such a term. Good afternoon. I've been charged with the awesome responsibility to introduce our 3 national student-led executives for the academic year 2021-22, and for JUTS 2021-23, their academic year, their tenure in office is for 2 years. So I'll briefly overview the instruction on how the oath of office and the introduction of the executive will occur today. First, I'm going to introduce the executive members of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. After introducing them, I'll administer the oath of office to the General Executive of JUTS. Then I'll invite the 2 vice presidents via Zoom to open their camera, administer it to them. Then I'll ask the president from JUTS to approach so I may administer the oath of office in person. Now, the order will proceed just like that. After the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, then I'll invite the NSSE in the same order I've alluded to earlier. And after I'm through with the NSSE, I'll invite the JPA in that same order. The only exception is that the vice presidents for NSSE and the JPA will participate in the oath of office with their general executives, but I'll invite the presidents of the NSSE and the JPA to present themselves here so I may administer the oath of office. Now, let me just briefly introduce the executive of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. So we have Miss Christina Williams on your screen. You should be seeing Miss Christina Williams. She's the president, and she's from the University of the West Indies, Mona. Then we have the vice president, the first vice president for advocacy, policy, and research and development, Ms. Suyen Thompson. And she is at the Norman Manley Law School. We have also Mr. Deshaun Cook. He's the second vice president responsible for national and international affairs, and he attends the University of the West Indies, Mona. We have the General Secretary-elect, Miss Tony Tozen. We have also this, and she is from UWI Mona. We have also Miss Dacia Reed, the Deputy General Secretary-elect, and she is also from the University of the West Indies, Mona. We have Glenardo Simpson, the Treasurer-elect, and he is from the Caribbean Maritime University. We also have Mr. Jalon Welsh, the Deputy Treasurer-elect, and he's from the UWI Mona. We have Miss Brianna Russell, the Director of Communications-elect, and she's from the UWI Mona. We have Javon Gordon, the Deputy Director of Communications-elect. He's from the UWI Mona. We have also Mr. Janoy Leith, the Projects and Special Initiatives Coordinator, and he's from the UWI Mona. We have Miss Peter Gay Gentles, the Assistant Projects and Special Initiatives Executive, and she's also from the UWI Mona. We have also Savon McIntosh, and he is the Returning Officer-elect. We have also Mr. Anthony Russell, the Regional Coordinator Northeast, and he's from the Moneague College. We have also Mr. Jotham Omoregi. He's the Regional Coordinator for the Southern Region, and he's from the NCU. We have also Mr. Mikhail Brown, the Regional Coordinator for the western parts of the island, and he's from Sam Sharp Teachers College. We have also Mr. Devarian Rowe, Regional Coordinator Southeastern, and he's from the UWI Mona. We have also Miss Nillian Scott, the Undersecretary-elect, and she's from the UWI Mona. We have also Miss Chanel Bromwell, Associate Undersecretary from the UWI Mona. We have also Mr. Stephen Palmer, the Assistant Undersecretary, and he's from the UWI Mona. We have Miss Danica Bork, and she's the Executive Policy and Research Officer, and she's from the University of Technology. Then we have Miss Cheyenne Hilton, and she is also a Policy and Research Executive Officer, and she is a graduate now of the Norman Manley Law School. And we have Mr. Ronaldo Richards. He's the Executive Officer for International Student Governance Relations from the UWI Mona. We have also Mr. Fabian Morris, and he's the Assistant National and International Affairs Executive from the UE Mono. We have also Mr. Daniel White, Assistant Regional Coordinator, Southeastern Region, and he's from Caribbean Maritime University. We have also Andre Cooper, Media and PR Engagement Executive, and he's from the University of the West Indies, Mono. We have also Miss Tiffany Walters, and she is the Social Media Engagement Executive, and she's from the University of Technology. Then we have Miss Nakinsky Robinson, and she's from the University of the West Indies, Mona. We have also Mr. Deshaun Crooks, and he's the Digital Multimedia Graphics Executive, and he is from the UE Mono. And last but not least, we have Stephanie Green, the Associate Social Media Executive, and she's from the Caribbean Maritime University. And those are the officers we have elect for the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students for the period, the academic years 2021-22 up through to 2023. Now, I'm going to invite the executive officers on screen via Zoom to open their cameras so we may administer the oath of office with the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students executive. After which I'll invite the two vice presidents from JUTS on Zoom again, administering the oath of office, and then we move to the president, who will be invited here on the podium, so I may administer the oath of office. So now, I'll ask that the executive officers, you would have been furnished with a copy of the oath of office so you may follow. Now, for those in, watching the live stream, just so you know, you won't be able to hear them, they're muted, but they'll nonetheless be repeating, and this was taken as a decision to reduce the feedback. And so they will briefly just repeat after me. So now for the General Executive Council of the JUTS, I'll start with them, and then I'll invite the vice presidents of the JUTS. So the technical team will highlight the entire executive if possible right now, so those in social media, streaming on social media, can see. So I'm going to ask the executive officers to repeat after me. I'll briefly pause where there are spaces for you to mention your name and your position, and then I'll continue. So I'll start now. For the executive officers of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, I'll ask you to raise your hands so those on social media, streaming on social media, can see who you are. So, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, uphold, and protect the vision, objectives, and mission of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. That I will support, uphold, and defend the Constitution of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. That I will faithfully perform and discharge the duties incumbent upon me as of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students Executive Council, fairly and honestly, and to the best of my skill and ability in service of Jamaica's tertiary students. and that I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations to the General Executive Officers of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. You have moved from elect and appointed to officially executive officers of the JUTS. Now I'll invite the Vice Presidents of the JUTS, Ms. Suyen Thompson and Mr. Deshaun Cook, to raise their hands so we know that they are hearing us. So briefly ask, okay, good. So we may start. So repeat after me, and again, I'll pause where you need to mention your name and also your positions. I do solemnly swear or affirm by the grace of God that I will well and faithfully execute the duties of the office of the on which I am about to enter as provided in the Constitution, that I will dutifully uphold and preserve the Constitution of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. I will strive to such extent encourage the good leadership and administration of the affairs of the Union, foster representative student governments, support academic freedom, and defend students' rights and their welfare. And finally, I shall impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily and without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations on being elected to your respective offices. Now, I'll transition now to the National Secondary Students Council. But before transitioning to the National Secondary Student Council, we have the president of the JUTS, and for this I'll have to put on my mask since she'll be invited here so I may administer the oath of office. So I'll invite now Miss Christina Williams to the fore. Miss Williams, I'll ask you to repeat after me. We have a physical copy here, so feel free to glimpse if you want to. All right, so please raise your right hand. Okay.
I, Christina Williams, President-elect of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students,
do hereby
solemnly affirm
by the grace of God that I will well
and
faithfully
execute
the office of Presidency of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students.
Execute the office of Presidency of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students.
I will dutifully uphold and preserve the Constitution of the Jutes
and preserve the Constitution of the Jutes
as established
and
to such extent
as
required to ensure the good leadership and administration of the affairs of the Union.
And to such extent as required, ensure the good leadership and administration of the affairs of the Union.
I will strive to foster
and
strengthen the spirit of camaraderie toward better student development, qualities and scholastic standards of students, by maximizing the participation of all students and student-led organizations as provided in the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students Constitution. And finally, that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without mental reservation,
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Ms. Williams. You are now President of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. Thank you very much. Thank you. And there we have it. So now we move to the National Secondary Students Council Executive. So I'll start with introducing the National Secondary Student Council Executive. So on your screen, you should be seeing a slide displaying the National Secondary Student Council Executives. So I'll start. The President of the National Secondary Student Council Executive is Mr. Jamal Hall, and he's from Monroe College. We have Miss Amelia Ferron from Very Technical. We have the Marley Cohen from St. Jago, the National Treasurer. We have Dejanay Roy from St. Youth High, the Public Relations Officer. We have now, at the regional level, Javon Hyman, Vice President Region 1, and he's from Wolmer's Boys School. We have also Daniel Jordan Bailey from St. Hugh High, Assistant Vice President. We have Theo Knight Tomlinson from Camperdown High, Secretary PRO. That's the Region 1 Executive. Now we have from Region 2, Jamari Williams from Paul Bogle High, Vice President. Moving into Region 4 here, we have Haley Black, and she's from Mount Alvernia High. She's a Vice President for Region 4. We have Kerry Bremer from Herbert Morrison Technical High, the Assistant Vice President for that region. We have Atissa Wilmot from Green Pond High, the Secretary PRO, and that's Region 4. We have Region 3 here. We have Javon Ling from Monroe, and he's the Vice President. We have also Miss Monique Bradford from the Carteret College, the Assistant Vice President. We have Michaela Reed, the Secretary PRO, and I'm not seeing that school right here, but she's the Secretary PRO for the Region 3 Executive. We have Ashley Jade Chambers from Region 6, St. Jago High. She's a Vice President. Then we have Kavon Lewis, St. Jago High, again, Assistant Vice President, and that's the Region 6 Executive. We have the 7th Region, 7th and final Region, Kavon Walters from Bridgeport High, Secretary PRO. Then we have also the Vice President, Tricinia Lawrence from Denby High. And then we have Danique Gordon from Glenmuir High here. And I think this is Secretary PRO. So, for your information, it therefore means Ms. Kavon Walters is the Assistant Secretary PRO, just for clarification. Now, I'll invite on screen the entire executive of the National Secondary Students Council to repeat after me in administering the oath of office. And I'll give them some time. You may know, just raise your hands so we know when you're ready to take the oath. All right, I believe we're ready. So repeat after me, and for the areas, I'll make some pauses. Well, for this oath, just one pause, one about 3 to 5 second pause, and you state your name there. So we may start now. All hands are raised, I've seen. Repeat after me. I do solemnly affirm that I will diligently execute my duties and to the best of my ability uphold, promote, and support the ideas, activities, and constitution of the National Secondary Students Council. I will serve as a positive role model, leader, and voice for the student population, and will preserve, protect, and defend the rights of all secondary students. So help me God. Congratulations on being elected, being installed into office. Now I'll move on to the president of the NSSE, and then I'll have to put on my mask again for this one. I'll ask Mr. Jamal Hall from Monroe College to approach. Yes. Mr. Hall, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
To take the oath? All right. Please raise your right hand. You may repeat after me. And feel free to glimpse here as well. I,
Jamal A. Hall, do solemnly affirm that I will
diligently execute
my
duties
and to the best of my
ability
uphold,
promote, and support the ideas,
activities, if it is,
and Constitution
of
the National Secondary Students Council. I will serve as a positive role model, leader, and voice for the student population. And will preserve, protect, and defend, the rights of all secondary students. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. Hall. You are now the President of the National Secondary Student Council. Thank you very much. Now, we move on to the Jamaica Prefects Association, and we'll start again by introducing the executive. So I'll ask the technical team once more to display the slide so those streaming on social media can put a face to the names of the executive officers elect and appointed to the Jamaica Prefects Association. All right. So I believe they are getting that display on screen now. So I'll start. So at the helm of the Jamaica Prefects Association as president, we have Ajay Clacken from Monroe College, the president. We have as the general secretary Miss Celine Nicholson, and she's from Manchester High School. We have Malachi Elwood from Kingston College, treasurer. We have Krishan Nelson from Manchester High School, public relations officer. At Region 1, which comprises Kingston and St. Andrew, we have Amanda Bradley from Convent of Mercy Alpha as the regional vice president. We have Kayla Smith from the Queen's School as the secretary. We have Darrell Scott from St. George's College as the treasurer. We have Anthony Parker from Calabar High as the events coordinator. We have Charlene Jackson from Morant Bay High as the vice president, and this is for Region 2. We have Romario Sawyers from Morant Bay again, events coordinator for Region 2. For Region 1, we have here Region 3 instead, which comprises the parishes of St. Anne and Trelawney. We have Shania Norman from Mushet High, and she's the vice president for Region 3. Moving into Region 4, we have Garfield Prendergast from Godfrey Stewart High as the vice president. Then we have Malek Curtin from Anchovy High as the events coordinator. Moving on to Region 5, we have comprising the parish of St. Elizabeth and Manchester. We have Akishma Payne from Hampton School as the vice president. We have also Codian Allen from Manchester High as the regional secretary, we have Dejanay Robinson from Hampton High as the treasurer. We have Petoni Guy from Manchester High as the events coordinator. Then moving into Region 6, and this comprises only the parish of St. Catherine, we have Monette Davis from Dintil High as a vice president. We have also Shalise Hall from Dintil High again as the events coordinator. Then we have Michael Ware at Region 7, comprising the parish of Clarendon only. Michael Ware from Glenmuir High as the vice president. Then we have the secretary for that region, Samantha Ellis from Glenmuir High. And that's the executive of the Jamaica Prefects Association. And you might be wondering why there are some positions missing right now. The executive, both the NSSE and the JPA, has some vacancies. So we'll invite prospective student leaders to apply to fill those vacancies. Hence, you wouldn't have heard some of the positions. So there is no inconsistency. Those positions were not mentioned because those positions are not filled at this time. Now, I'll invite the General Executive, all the executive officers of the Jamaica Prefects Association on screen via Zoom to raise their hands so I may administer the oath of office. So on screen, for those streaming again, across social media, you should be seeing the faces of the leadership of the Jamaica Prefects Association. Yes, and their hands are all raised. So I'll invite you to repeat after me, and I'll go very slowly so you may follow. So I'll start now. I do solemnly affirm that I will diligently execute my duties and to the best of my ability uphold, promote, and support the ideas, activities, and constitution of the Jamaica Prefects Association. I will serve as a positive role model and leader whilst fulfilling my duties and obligation in my full capacity with integrity, honesty, sincerity, humility, and commitment. So help me God. Congratulations on being elected and appointed in your respective positions to the Jamaica Prefects Association for this academic year being 2021-2022. Now, I'll move over to the president. I'll invite the president, Mr. Ajay Clacken from Monroe College, to approach the podium. And here again, I'll place my mask on. Yes, Mr. Clacken. Yes. Yes. All right. Please raise your right hand. And you'll be asked to repeat after me. At the first pause, about for 3 seconds or so, you'll state your name, and then we'll continue. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I, your name,
Ajay Klakan,
do solemnly affirm that I will diligently execute my duties and to the best of my ability uphold, promote and support the ideas activities and constitution of the Jamaica Prefects Association. I will serve as a positive role model and leader whilst fulfilling my duties and obligation in my full capacity with integrity, honesty, sincerity, humility, and commitment. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. Klakan, on being president. So that's it. We have completed administering the oath of office, and in the same breath we would have introduced the executives of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, the National Secondary Students Council, and the Jamaica Prefects Association. Congratulations once more to the student leaders elected and appointed from those respective executives. Best wishes on your journey, your leadership journey. Thank you again. And now back over to our very capable MC, Mr. Moy Campbell. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Horton. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, the installation of our young people, our young leaders and visionaries. Congratulations to you all. As I sat here, I was just beaming because it kind of reminded me of when I was being installed as a Region 1 executive on the National Secondary Students Council. And now today I serve on the Guild as a Faculty of Law representative and the President of the Mona Law Society. And I think I owe much of that journey to the investment of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, and to all I've learned through my NSSE tenure. So thank you so much, NSSE. Thank you so much, JPA. Thank you so much, JOTS, because we are confident that your leadership is a step in the right direction for Jamaica. Now, we're going to formally give gratitude and thanks because gratitude is a must, and I'm going to invite Miss Suyen Thompson to extend the vote of thanks. Suyen is on Zoom. All right, just hold on a little bit so until Suyen comes. We're going to have something just before that, but I honestly want you all to just really be reminded that Youth Month is all about evolving. And please tell us in the chat, how do you plan on evolving? The minister told us that you are fundamental in the stakeholder process, and you are the part of the process that makes things different. Mrs. Kamisha Swaby invited us to think differently, be innovative, be bold, be open to constructive criticism, and always put yourself in a position to continually develop and to serve the people who you are advocating for. Leadership is a journey, and it is not for the faint of heart, but you can do it. We believe in you, Jamaica believes in you, your constituents believe in you, and I just want to extend once again congratulations. Now I'm seeing Christina coming to the podium. She is the president of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, and she's going to do her presidential charge. Christina, over to you.
Mistress of Ceremonies, Ms. Tamoy Campbell, student leader and youth advocate. Honorable Robert Nestor Morgan, MP, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Ms. Jamie Ann Chavan, student director also in the ministry. Mrs. Kamisha Swaby, our keynote speaker earlier. My fellow presidents, Mr. Jamal Hall from the National Secondary Students Council and Mr. Ajay Klaken from the Jamaica Prefects Association. My student leaders from JUTS, NSSC, and JPA, welcome and good afternoon. It was 63 million and 72 seconds since I last stood here. At the time, I was being inducted as the first vice president of JUTS. And at the time, I was excited, you know, brimming with passion, purpose, and pride. At the time, I had no ambition to become the first woman president in recorded history of JUTS, which I now am. I only had intention to serve students first before I endeavored to lead. But in 31,536 seconds, the education sector and the corresponding student advocacy movement changed arguably forever. We had to change focus in a split second from focusing on social activities and face-to-face learning to keeping our physically distant students safe, yet academically and socially engaged. In a split second, I had to find the courage to literally go on social media at the relevant ministers and say, we need to zero-rate online learning platforms so we can ensure digital learning access. In a split second, JUTS and the UEMONA Guild had to work together to zero-rate over 100 learning platforms for the length and breadth of Jamaica students. In a split second, you yourselves or your predecessors had to fight unjust and arbitrary policies, whether around exams, fees, forced face-to-face learning, or raging pandemic. In a split second, we all had to find the courage to change and to evolve. But the question is this afternoon, can you find another second to change? Can you find another second to find that courage once again to fight? When we think about the changes that we need to have, transition from remote learning to true online learning, right now we don't have that. Finding the courage to revise the curricula so that we can have that suitable for online learning as well as to face the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution. The courage to fight arbitrary and ineffective policies as we transition once more to face-to-face learning so they don't get implemented. But as we point fingers on government and we point fingers to other government agencies, as student leaders, I must also ask you, can you find a second to find the courage to take personal responsibility? A lot of times we forget as student leaders that we are privileged youth. Regardless of how we may talk about tokenism and the lack of meaningful engagement, the truth is that we have more access than the average young person in Jamaica. We are really and truly, as State Minister Morgan would say, we are really and truly professional youth leaders. And so we have to demand more of ourselves. And so while we fight and we find the courage to ask governments to change, and we fight and we find courage to ask our institutions to change, we also have to find time to fight and to find courage to change ourselves. So we can be more innovative, we can be more receptive, we can listen to our constituents, we can give feedback, we can keep them up to date with what we're doing to ensure that we have real, true, meaningful student governance. 63,072 seconds from now, I will no longer be in office. 31,536 seconds from now, Jamal Hall nor Mr. Clacken will no longer be in office. We'll be called former. You will also no longer be in office. And so I'm going to ask you to find a second this afternoon and for the rest of your tenure to think about it. Can you find that courage to change? Can you find that courage to inspire your team members to change? Because we all need to change now to deal with the changing issues that we have affecting our students. I am here to support you as your president of JUTS. Jamal and Mr. Clacken, I'm sure, are also here to support you, respective presidents of NSSC and JPA. But we need all of us, hands and hearts together, to find time to change, to find time, to find courage to evolve. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ms. Christina Williams, President of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students. And now I'll invite Mr. Jamal Hall, President of the National Secondary Students Council, to give his presidential charge.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and surely this is an auspicious occasion as our Master of Ceremonies is an NSSC alumni, as well as our keynote speaker who was an NSSC alumni. Surely that is a breathtaking moment. This afternoon, I stand before you elated, humbled, and guided that the office to which I have been elected is not for the faint of heart. Yet, it is a mantle I have gladly accepted because I know that it is not by my might or by my power, but by that of Christ's strength that resides in me. I want to also pause to congratulate my fellow presidents, Miss Christina Williams, whom I have regarded as a stalwart in her own right, but more so my best friend and brother, Mr. Ajay Clacken, who has been appointed to lead the second most influential organization in the island. As we all know, the National Secondary Students Council is first. With that being said, I wish to also extend warm greetings to our nation builders and students who are joining us from across the globe. The NSSC over the years has prided itself as the premier student-led organization responsible for engendering a culture of responsibility amongst students in schools across the island. We salute these students for their patriotism, hard work, and goodwill. As I said to my executives and team upon assuming office, we are as much student leaders as we are servants. Our mandate, even now more than ever, is to continue the rich legacy of ensuring students have adequate representation at all levels of secondary school while educating them on their rights and responsibilities as students. Friends, the pandemic has taught us many lessons. One such lesson I hold very dear is the fact that we cannot do this alone. As Christina would have said earlier, it takes a team effort. It takes NSSC, JP, and JUTS working together to achieve a common goal. With the phased reopening of schools, I know that government officials, school administrators, students, and parents are doing their best to ensure we excel. Hold on a second. Reason. We have been given the privilege of acquiring an education. Let us devote our energies into capitalizing and taking everything that belongs to us. If it's a school, let's learn. If it's a test, let's ace it. Where failure go. We have the power to overcome and excel. The work of the previous executive cannot be ignored as the tremendous strides were made during last year's team, such as the establishment of a partnership with UNICEF to host consultations with students across the island and ultimately producing the Reimagined Education Report, which was a compilation of recommendations on how the education sector could respond to our educational needs during and post the pandemic. This report was submitted to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, and the National Education Transformation Commission for their review and consideration. Other noteworthy initiatives were our tablet drives to support needy students, our partnership with the Heart Trust Foundation in promoting healthy lifestyle among students across the pandemic. We also acknowledge the adverse effects of improper usage by students and therefore partnered with Digicel for the I Insist initiative to bring awareness to how students can remain safe online. Not to mention our virtual capacity building workshops and Students' Council Week activities that engaged over 16,000 students. This year will be no less impactful, and since our time in office, we have represented and supported countless student-related causes and events. For Youth Month, we have sought to bring awareness to our theme, Evolve, by highlighting various youth across all regions who have evolved since the pandemic. And as recent as last week, we hosted an Instagram Live on International Students' Day where we were joined by students from India, Kurdistan, and Ghana. Our plans for this academic year are focused on online safety, mental health, and particularly facilitating the referral and organizing initiatives for our peers who are in need of psychosocial support due to trauma associated with COVID-19. Amidst all the upheaval on the global scale, students not just in high school, but at the primary and tertiary levels, by God's grace, we have remained resilient. Indeed, we have understood the assignment. The assignments, my friends, are clear, that no matter where we are, what we're faced with, we have the power to overcome and conquer. I leave you with this verse from Agent Asko's song entitled Stronger. Give thanks for obstacles in our way, because the hurdles teach we to jump. If everything did smooth every day, we wouldn't know we could overcome. Because it don't kill we, I know it's gonna build we and make us stronger. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was Mr. Jamal Hall with his presidential charge, the president of the National Secondary Students Council. And now I'll invite Mr. Ajay Clacken, president of the Jamaica Prefects Association, to give his presidential address.
Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you all greetings. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to stand before you today in the capacity as National President for the illustrious Jamaica Prefects Association. I am beyond grateful not only to be selected to lead, but to serve the students across the island. I also relish in the opportunity to extend heartiest congratulations to Miss Christina Williams, an ardent youth leader and advocate, and certainly not least to my brother from the City on the Hill, Mr. Jamal Hall, on their distinguished elected appointments. Mr. Hall and I, however, will have to speak as it relates to the premier student-led organization in Jamaica. It is my fervent prayer and my considered hope that they will endure continued success in their respective leadership capacities. The effects of the COVID-19 pandemic have been rather severe, and we empathize with those, especially our students, who have experienced the loss of a loved one or who would have been exposed to the adverse effects of the pandemic. They need our support now more than ever. But despite the challenges, I want us to recognize that we made history for skillfully navigating school life. While learning from home, having to survive the countless internet challenges, here a glitch, there a glitch, every class a glitch. You get my glitch? My apology, I mean gist. We're, however, grateful to our teachers, our parents, and academic staff that stood by us unrelentingly during our most trying time. Since the inception of the Jamaica Prefects Association in 2008, the mission has always been to develop effective and exemplary leadership within schools across the island. We aim to foster the physical, mental, spiritual, and social development of students. Like any organization, the Jamaica Prefects Association, after our 10-year hiatus, emerged like the legendary phoenix to revolutionize how leadership was perceived and managed at the secondary level. Since our relaunch in 2018, we have ratified our constitution, hosted several capacity building workshops, engaging over 600 prefectures in leadership sessions, and thousands through our various regional and national activities from support received from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. I must admit, however, that the work has just begun. You see, with the reopening of schools, it will bring various challenges. And it will require a student-centered leadership approach. Let's face it, we have spent almost 2 years out of school. Therefore, we must find creative ways to re-socialize our peers on how to be students. How to be students within the confines of their institutions. The JPA is willing to lend our support in making this transition smooth, as we too would have suffered firsthand from the disconnect experience attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic. Former US President Barack Obama would have penned his conviction when he affirmed, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are indeed the change that we seek." In any society or organization, its greatest asset is its people. And the effective coordination of this great asset is indicative of the institution for a change that profits the interests of its members. And as youth leaders, we are the catalysts for inaugurating and coordinating that change. It hasn't been an easy road. I want, however, continue to implore us to pull on the strength that comes only from our Almighty Creator. Remember, be not defined by your challenges, but rather define your challenges by your faith, in knowing that you cannot and will not be stopped, because you are God Pitney. The Jamaica Prefects Association makes that commitment to evolve and will endeavor to continue raising the bar into the highest echelons of distinguished service and youth leadership. The desire to promote and achieve betterment in our mandate has grown exponentially, and together, with utmost courage and courtesy, we shall evolve. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from just a while ago, Mr. Ajay Clacken, the presidential charge. You heard from Christina and you heard from Jamal. And I think it's safe to say that they all understood the assignment and that we as young people, we have hope that the future is bright and that their tenures and journey will be absolutely successful. Now it's that time where we have to give thanks and express our gratitude for all that has happened and for the persons who made this possible. I will now be turning to Zoomland and inviting Ms. Suyen Thompson to give the vote of thanks. Suyen, the virtual stage is now yours.
Thank you, Tamoy. To our moderator, Ms. Tamoy Campbell, thank you for guiding us through today's proceeding. Thank you, Ms. Kamisha Swebe, for reminding us why and how we can evolve, personally and in our journey as student leaders. Your wise words and advice will help us in our different areas of responsibility so that we can better help our constituents and our country. We'd also like to thank the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information and all important stakeholders who made this proceeding a possibility. To my fellow councillors of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, my colleagues in leadership at the National Student Council and the Jamaica Prefect Association, congratulations and all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Suyen. Ladies and gentlemen, young people, visionaries, it's that time again. As you know, all good things must come to an end. It was my pleasure being the moderator for your installation ceremony. I trust that you were not just invigorated and revitalized, but you left understanding the assignment that your job as young people and as young leaders is to evolve. I want to thank all the many hands who put this together, the technical team who has been behind the scenes, and all of the contributions from our sponsors and other stakeholders. I'll just give our sponsors one more time. That's the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Ministry of Gender, Culture, Entertainment and Sport, PATH, HEART, JN, DGA, ILE, Proven Investment, Benjamin Manufacturers, Nestle Jamaica Limited. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, I think our young leaders do have the courage to evolve, and we will see it transforming in their tenure and in their journeys. And as I say, walk good, have an amazing day. I'm Tamoya Campbell signing out. Happy Youth Month.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
A real estate investment trust is a property investment company. Unlike other property investments, it is traded on an exchange, similar to listed securities such as ordinary shares and exchange-traded funds. This makes it an attractive option for ordinary investors to invest in real estate. A small amount is required to participate in this asset class, rather than a large capital outlay that is required for an outright property purchase. Since REITs must pay out 90% of their rental income to investors, to expand, that leaves two main means of funding growth: selling new shares or taking on debt. As an investor of a REIT, you must keep an eye on the amount of debt incurred, as this may affect overall output. I am Dana Ashley, and we are proven.